Racism and Prejudice. Racism and prejudice in Kill a Mockingbird and My People Die Young both indicate a preconception of positive and negative opinions by challenging the reader's understanding of others. This is evident in the novel by Harper Lee, Kill a Mockingbird, published in 1936. The story is told by the little 6-year-old girl named Jean Louise Finch. The storyline is based on Macon County, which is a small town. The main idea in the novel, in which Atticus defends Tom Robinson, who is a black man, which has been accused of raping a white girl by the name of Miela Iwa. This is also seen in the speech, My People Die Young, by Stan Grant in 2015. The speech, which talks about how racism and prejudice have had a major effect on the indigenous people by the British Empire. Harper Lee presents inequality throughout the whole story. She uses different ways in Kill a Mockingbird to reveal the discrimination towards others. The use of disjunctive conjunction in "There's something in our world that makes men lose their heads. They wouldn't be fair if they tried." In our quotes, when it's a white man's words against a black man's words, the white always wins. They are ugly, but these are the fact of life. This portrays that in Macon, black people don't have rights even if it's in court. The black people were getting mistreated. The white people were always correct. Either they're lying or not. They will still end up having more rights. As Tom Robinson was convicted of raping a white woman, which he didn't, the jury still convicted him of raping her. This usually indicates the things that happen in Macon, and that black people's rights were not considered true. Moreover, the use of metaphor in "Your father's no better than the niggers and trash he works for." This substantiates that black people are bad human beings, and reveals to the readers how disheartened the black people were, and how the society in Macon thought of them at that time. This leads to hate and injustice, in which racism and prejudice turn into something tolerant in the novel. Likewise, it is also shown throughout the speech of My People Die Young by Stan Grant. The use of anecdote in "And if the white blood in me was here tonight, my grandmother, she would tell you of how she was taken away from a hospital, giving birth to her first child, because she was giving birth to the child of a black person." This highlights that even if you were white and you were giving birth to a black person's child, you were considered not important, because once you get married, you become one flesh. Therefore, even if it was an indigenous person, he or she would still be judged and criticized by the same race, no matter what the reason is. Thus, inequality has been seen throughout both the novel Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee and My People Die Young by Stan Grant, which has challenged the reader's understanding of racism and prejudice, which is the main idea of both the novel and speech. The conflict of good and evil that has been highlighted by the writer throughout the novel, by the perspective of Gem and Scout. They believe that individuals are good, but occasionally our evil action could destroy someone physically and emotionally, similar to Tom Robinson and Brie Radley, who were emotionally hurt from others' evil actions. Once the trial of Tom Robinson began, in which he was convicted in raping a white woman, Tom Robinson started to feel miserably sorry for Mayella. The use of repetition in "You felt sorry for her, you felt sorry for her." This represents that Tom Robinson felt very sorry for Mayella, even though she was the one who used legal action to state that Tom Robinson raped her. He felt sorry even though she was a white woman, and neither black or white people are meant to feel sorry for each other. The concept of good conflict has been manifested through the use of metaphor in "You never really understand a person until you consider things from their point of view, until you climb into skin and walk around it." This demonstrates that you never get to understand people unless you live their life. Harper Lee's intention is to inform the audience that to judge someone, you must see things from their point of view and experience what they are going through. This gives a clear understanding of all humans, that they deserve to be treated with dignity. Furthermore, the speech of My People Die Young emphasizes the main concept of evilness. The use of inference in, we die 10 years younger than the average Australian. We are far from free. We are fewer than 3% of the Australian population, and yet we are 25%, a quarter of those Australians locked up in our prisons. This illustrates the way Australians were mistreated by others' evil actions, through the evidence that has been provided that many Indigenous Australians were kept in prisons, and many others have died. Hence, the novel Kill a Mockingbird and the speech My People Die Young have a theme of good and evil behavior which could impact a whole society. Racism and prejudice has a major impact on others which could result to fear. The use of diction in I was scared, sir. Mr. Finch, if you are a nigger like me, you will be scared too. This reflects that Tom Robinson had a trial in court. Tom Robinson was told to explain what happened on the day in which Mayella asked for help from him. In Macomb, black people don't have rights and are not liked by the society of Macomb. For this reason, Tom Robinson was scared and fear had entered him. Furthermore, the use of olfactory imagery, Mr. Finch, a soft, husky voice came from the darkness above. They gone? This exposes that Tom Robinson was afraid that someone would attack him. Harper Lee uses olfactory imagery to give the reader an idea of how Tom Robinson's voice sounds and how his voice changes when he's afraid of something. Tom Robinson's action on how he woke up because he was scared explains that he knew people wanted to harm him because he's a black person. Moreover, the speech of My People Die Young demonstrates that all Indigenous people were scared from the British people, in which they took everything they owned. The use of alliteration in our rights were extinguished because we were not here according to the British law. And when British people looked at us, they saw something subhuman. This accentuates that when the British looked at the Indigenous people, they imagined them as animals. Stangrain uses the word subhuman, which means they are not worthy of being humans, lower than humans, which means animals. Thus, the theme of fear has been portrayed in both the novel by Harper Lee and the speech by Stangrain, in which black people in Macomb and the Indigenous Australians felt and have been affected by. In conclusion, the novel Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee and the speech My People Die Young by Stangrain both give the readers a deep understanding of racism and prejudice that has occurred throughout the inequality, conflict of good and evil, and fear in the novel and the speech. Dark-skinned people in Macomb didn't have rights like the white people, and how the Indigenous people were physically and emotionally affected by the British. The novel and speech teaches the audience many life lessons. It teaches us to never judge a person by the color of their skin, and that racism and prejudice can affect others. Thank you.